Really, the uprising in Iran, which began at the end of December, has, I believe, changed the political landscape in Iran and in the region. It's clearly demonstrated that the sort of theories and analyses put forward by the apologists for the Iranian regime are just plain wrong. For years, we've been told by the regime and its supporters, and that includes the EU's own foreign policy officials, that this is a very stable country with no real opposition, and that the Islamic Republic of Iran has millions of supporters, and so on. Many of us, particularly those of us here as the friends of free Iran, have never accepted this propaganda. And why? Because we believe the Iranian people, and especially the young men and women of Iran, could not possibly tolerate these backward mullahs and their reactionary ideology. We have never believed that people like Rouhani and his foreign minister Zarif are moderates. We saw their human rights records, and we also saw that their best friends and allies are Bashar Assad of Syria and Vladimir Putin. So with friends like that, you should judge people partly by their friends. And we could not believe in the Iranian elections because there was no opposition, and those who were allowed to stand in these so-called elections were later disqualified by the Council of Guardians, a completely unelected body. So we cannot believe the regime's assurances about its nuclear programme, because they lied to us for years. It was only when their secret nuclear sites were revealed by the opposition NCRI and sanctions were imposed that the regime agreed to sign the nuclear deal. So we have not been deceived by the lies and the pro-regime lobby's propaganda. And the recent uprising has proved us right. All that Maryam Rajavi told us in December about the weaknesses of this regime was absolutely correct. In fact, just a few weeks after Mrs. Rajavi spoke in the European Parliament, the nationwide protest began. And those protests spread to 142 cities. So the Iranian regime, which up to that point had been very reticent to even mention the name of the PMOI or Mrs. Rajavi, was forced to openly admit the very effective role that this opposition is playing in the uprising. In a way, the regime has told us who and where it sees its main opposition. So our governments and our policymakers in the EU must revise their view of Iran. They should recognise the explosive situation in that country, and they should rethink their attitude towards the main Iranian opposition before it is too late. We must be on the side of the Iranian people. We must give them hope that they are not alone. We must support their fight against Islamic fundamentalism. We must show solidarity with the Iranian people. And as a free woman, and coming from a country which just yesterday celebrated 100 years of votes for women, I will always show solidarity with the brave women of Iran and the very brave leader of the opposition, Maryam Rajavi. Thank you.